Hey, off-season After Dark fans, glad to have you here for episode 41. And we're back to one of our original guests and only the second guest I've had on twice so far, Steve Jackson, to talk Michigan football, among other things that are relative in the college football world. So for those of you who remember back to one of our earlier episodes last July or August, we talked college fantasy football with Steve, and we're back today to talk about the Wolverines, one of our blue bloods of the sport. And as much as I want to get all of the G6s and the random fan bases, the viewers are watching more when I have the big wig program. So it's great to talk about Wolverines today. Steve, thanks for being here. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? What got you into being a Michigan fan? And then you recently started a Substack, which I follow. Tell them a little bit about that too.
Yeah. So, I'm originally from Michigan. I got my undergraduate degree from the University of Michigan in the, back in the Lloyd Carr era.
Yep.
So I've been a long time Michigan fan. It's been a good days to be a Michigan fan lately. We got our basketball team, football team winning titles. I almost had to go to a Frozen Four hockey game and a Final Four basketball game the same week.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So, life is good as a Michigan fan. I think college football is just such a great environment when you get there. And it's a big part of my life. I spend all my husband points on college football. I work them up during the week, and then I spend them on Saturday. So I can do that. And
that's the way to do it. Yeah.
The Substack is a new thing I started just a couple weeks ago here, trying to get into the college fantasy football content game. I've been playing college fantasy football. This is my 26th year. And I just feel like
if we added up number of seasons total based on every league you're in, how many seasons would that be?
Well, we had 66 teams last year.
Yeah, I knew it was a ridiculous amount. Yeah.
And so I feel like I just want to share a little bit of that with the community. And so, this, it's a free Substack.
Yep.
It's going to be in depth on some obscure players and some obscure things to try and add my little bit to the community. I've already covered the Jacksonville State quarterback, a Delaware wide receiver.
I'll ask about one guy quick. Being a Marshall guy, Carlos Del Rio Wilson, good fantasy player for this year.
Yeah, they're going to throw the ball a lot, and even better if you have 6-point passing touchdowns. Carlos Del Rio Wilson.
See, Phil Still yesterday named him preseason first team All Sun Belt, so was pleased to see that. Yeah,
no, he's a good one, and he's kind of going. I've done 16 drafts already this spring.
Okay,
and he's probably going. There's a really fruitful tier of quarterbacks that are going in like that, like kind of round 12, 13.
Yeah. And I'm a guy that likes to wait on QBs. I'm not pulling them early usually, so that's good to know. Yeah.
You can wait, and you can still get a quality player like that, even for like a QB 2 or 3.
Okay. I lied. I'm going to ask you a series 3. I guess it's 3 more questions. But in all of FBS, who would be your QB, running back, and wide receiver 1?
So my cousin Brad Jackson is the QB 1 down in Texas State.
You guys, I see the family resemblance.
Yeah. He's like my cousin Lamar. Texas State. He runs the ball so well and is throwing it all over the yard. He's bringing his 2 best receivers back. He's not going to play any.
Kenny's a good play caller too. So the year I made the championship in the 50-teamer was I took the gamble on TJ Finley when he was the starter there and rode it all the way. Yeah.
RB1 has got to be Lacey from Ole Miss.
Oh yeah. And our viewers are going to love that because Steve's been pumping him all year, all off season. Yeah.
He was great. They're bringing that, that so much of that offense is going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
It's not an all lane thing. And
no,
he's a true volume pig. They give him the ball all the time. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He's going to rack up play hours. He can catch the ball. He's in there every down.
Yeah. I assumed you would say either him or Jaden Baugh at Florida would be number one. So
Jaden Baugh's usually going kind of late first round.
Okay.
I'd say my wide receiver one, even though I'm a Michigan guy, I still got to say Jeremiah Smith.
It's tough not to. Yeah.
I mean, he's got so much talent, and the floor there is so high.
Yes.
Now, might some other wide receiver have better weeks? Sure.
Yeah.
Ohio State might shut it down early against some teams, but there's almost no risk. And especially early in the fantasy draft, I want to reduce risk early on. And so Jeremiah Smith is multiple times already this spring been my number one overall pick.
Okay. Like I'm seeing some people, randos on, Twitter X that'll say, Malachi Toney would be better than him. And I think it goes back to what you said. Sure, maybe he'll have some weeks that are better, but extrapolated on an average over 12 games, I doubt he's going to be as high as Smith.
And maybe if you're in a full point PPR because he's in the slot and they're going to pepper him. But I also think there's a world where, Miami's not as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had freshman sensations, even, like Ryan Williams at Alabama, not be as good the second year as you would expect.
And they're also, Mario likes to run the ball. If they're getting up in games, they're not going to throw the ball a ton.
And they've got a great offensive line, and they got just, they're going to be the class of the ACC, I think.
Yeah. Who's tight end one?
Tight end one for me is Johnson from Oregon.
Okay.
I feel like he's just
great tight end offense too. Yeah.
He's great tight end, and he's just got the skills. I want my tight end to really be a wide receiver and just count as a tight end, and he meets that criteria.
Yeah, he'll be a good player. I think that's a good call. So I guess we'll get into it. In terms of Michigan, super excited to finally talk Wolverines. Been a very successful, going back to the last 2-3 years of Harbaugh, and even with all the drama that surrounded last season, you guys were still a 9-win team. It was still a pretty good season, but we don't need to rehash the drama with more, being shown the door. But let's take a time machine back to the day after Moore was fired. So we know there's going to be a new head coach. Who were you wanting to be that guy? Whittingham was a guy that came up from day one. Who else were guys that you would have liked?
I didn't think I was going to want Whittingham because I thought he was going to retire.
Everybody did. Yeah.
So I didn't really view him as a credible candidate.
Yep.
At the time. I was Team Dillingham, Arizona State.
Yep. Can't fault you there.
I feel like, he's another guy who could attack with enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I think that he's going to keep doing good things in Arizona State.
Yeah, I think so. And it's his alma mater too.
But so,
one guy that I
Bama coach, and it's like, well, are you really going to steal the Bama coach? I remember when we were at the national championship game telling the Washington fans that we were going to steal their coach.
I was just that when I tried to cut you off there, I was going to ask, was Jed Fish a guy? Because he's a guy that it would have made sense being a former assistant that he was in the mix there.
Yeah. But I think that's the Michigan thing. Like, we're going to get a Michigan man. And it's like, you don't need that.
You don't. No. Another one who I remember and when I wrote my article for Fair, I threw this guy in the mix too, even though he's at his alma mater. Jeff Brom was a guy I thought may pop up for that. He's a heck of a coach.
I remember I saw Brom, and I remember feeling like I was going to be disappointed if we got Brom, which is not to say bad things about Brom, but I think as Michigan is the winningest all-time school, you want to set your sights higher than that. But I mean, he's a good coach.
The dude did win at Purdue, and only 2 guys in 60 years have a net winning record at Purdue. So
yeah, but it's
Joe Tiller, yeah.
So it's the, part of what I like about Whittingham though is that he's, we're going outside the Michigan man business, but on a vibes basis, we're really not.
No, he fits the personality of a hard-nosed Midwestern tough guy. Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he's still, can outlift every other coach in the Big Ten.
The two in all of the P4, the 2 biggest hard ass, tough as nails head coaches might be the two in Michigan between him and Fitzgerald.
Well, Fitzgerald's a linebacker.
Yeah. So when Whittingham was hired, were you all in, good to go, or were you initially apprehensive a little bit?
By the time that he actually signed on, and I realized that this was I think my earlier dismissal was because I thought he wasn't going to really be all in because he was going to be retiring.
Yeah.
But once he was in, I'm feeling good about it. And we may not be a national championship team again, but I get to bask in the glory of my national championships now. And I really just want to get back to that Lloyd Carr, feel confident going into the year that we're a 9-win team.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like we're going to be there because the talent, we have a tough schedule, but the talent's borderline, maybe the 10th or the 15th best talent in college football. And when you do that, you're going to be set up to win a lot of games.
You are. And I think you're right about that talent. For all of the drama that surrounded the coaching change and whatnot, that roster is really good. And there are not many teams that are better. And I've commented to several people, if Underwood makes the sophomore jump like we think he could, it could be a double-digit win team.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I think, is the schedule, right? I mean, we got to play all these O schools, Ohio State, Oregon, Oklahoma. Indiana's not going to be an easy out, right? No. So 10-win season.
Penn State the week before those games. Yeah. And at that, am I correct? The last month of the season, I mean, Michigan State, Oregon, someone, and then UCLA, and by the way, I actually think UCLA is going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. I've told people that. I think Nico's pretty good, and their first 9 weeks they only have one game that they'll probably lose for sure. They might be 7-2 after 9 games.
Be good to get game day back to Los Angeles.
Yes.
Get the fans going out west.
Yeah.
We want this shouldn't just be a regional sport.
No. And am I correct? Oklahoma, it's in Ann Arbor this year, right?
It's in Ann Arbor this year.
Okay. That'll be, I mean, that's two teams that in week 2 will both be thinking, if we win this game, that puts us a leg up and get into the CFP. Because they're both
basically
at that
a playoff game
Yeah.
in week 2. And I think I'll take the blind under right now.
Probably fair. Yep.
Because both teams will probably score a lot of points the first week, push that number up, and those defenses are going to lock it down.
I think so. I know Oklahoma has UTEP in week 1, so that probably a fair call. One guy I was really impressed to see you guys get it done. The D coordinator that Whittingham brought, Jay Hill, was fantastic in his 2 years at BYU. Before that was a head coach at Weber State, and they were one of the better FCS teams in the country. I mean, he went to the playoffs all but I think 2 of his 8 or 9 years there. So he had a good thing going, and getting him there from, your rival in-state school, in BYU was big for Whittingham. And then, of course, you're bringing Jason Beck with you, who was, your deputy for a number of years as O coordinator there. So
and he's done some great things with mobile quarterbacks in many different places. So
yes,
when
he was with Mendenhall they had a good run. Yeah.
So even Syracuse, I think he was at NC State for Armstrong.
Yes.
So he's.
He was Virginia with
rushing yards.
He was Virginia before Armstrong.
Sorry, Virginia.
Yep.
So
because that was the Mendenhall connection, because he was also Virginia there. Yeah.
So I think that I'll take the over on Underwood's rushing yards this year. He's
okay. What about running back position? Obviously, losing Justice Haynes was kind of a surprise to me. I mean, he was a heck of a player last year. He was a guy I traded for in our fantasy football league. But you also have Jordan Marshall coming back, who was a pretty good player, and Savion Hitter was the best running back recruit in the country.
So I wish Justice the best.
Yeah.
He was a great player for us. It's a big loss. He might be the best running back in the ACC.
He'll be up there for sure. Yeah.
I mean, him or like, maybe the Louisville guy, but I mean, it's
Isaac Brown's pretty,
yeah. But he's right at the top, and we let him walk, and it shows you that college football is a salary cap game now. It's like we didn't want to spend that much money at running back.
Yeah, I think that is the only logical answer there.
There's no reason to let him go, but other than like we just want to redeploy the cash elsewhere.
Do you think, or maybe was Hitter already signed by that point? Did you guys know he was on the hook when Haynes left?
We did. We knew we had him in the fold.
And
we were planning to run all three of them out there, but
that changes everything then. So that's a good point there. I mean, with those two, you should be in good shape. And even that Kuzdal got a little bit of time last year. Yep. I mean, it certainly was a decent amount of carries. Yeah. Now at receiver, that's the group on offense I'm the most, or have the most question marks about. McCulley is gone. Marsh was a pretty good player, and he's back. And then there's really nobody else proven that returns. Now, you did bring Moa, who followed Whittingham from Utah. But
J.J. Buchanan followed him from Utah, too.
Yes.
But I think that our receivers were – sometimes when you're like, this team doesn't have anybody coming back, sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And our wide receiver room, I think, given that we got to keep Marsh, I think that it's going to be a good thing. I think.
And Jaime French was a really big recruit for the Longhorns, and he transferred to Michigan.
So he's going to get meaningful time when we have three wide receiver sets, for sure.
Yeah.
But he still hasn't done
I assume he'll be – no. But I assume he'll be on the outside, and Buchanan will be the slot when you guys are in three receiver sets. That would make the most sense.
That's kind of what people are saying.
Yeah. And then at tight end, Klein's gone. But I think Zach Marshall's going to be a pretty good player. And then that Hansen was another guy who came in as a heralded recruit, and I think he'll be all right too.
Well, Hogan's, I think, is especially good as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
I think Zach Marshall is more of a, all-around tight end. You'll see him blocking real well too for us.
Yeah.
We're going to be running the ball.
And Jalen Hoffman will play a lot. They might never throw the ball to him, but he's going to be in there and block a ton.
Yep, and if you need a backup all-catching person, that's Deacon Tonelli. So we got
okay. He's one I don't know as much.
We're a tight end. We're a deep tight end room kind of team. Harbaugh loves recruiting himself some tight ends.
He does. Yeah, that's for sure. In O-line wise, that looks like a pretty good group. You lost a center and a guard, but everybody else, I mean, it looks like you'll be able to replace those guys. And like you said before with the running backs, just because you're losing them doesn't mean you're going to be worse off. Like I think they look pretty salty on the O-line.
Yeah, I think the O-line, we bring in a lot of starts back. We got 6 guys who started coming back, plus Andrew Babaloa, who's a really high-end tackle recruit.
Yep.
Who may or may not even make the lineup for us. I think we'll move Jake Granara at center and move Evan Lincoln at guard. So we'll moving some pieces around, but there's a lot of experience there, and maybe it's not the best pass blocking group, but there's some big, strong boys.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Frazier's a guy, and maybe it's just because he's the left tackle. We tend to notice those guys more, but he's a guy I'm excited to see this year and how he comes back. He was a good run blocker last year.
And just a really great athlete for his size. So, I think the possibilities are there that he could be a great pass blocker too when you have those kind of unique skills, but you have to demonstrate it.
Okay. Sorry for that pause there, people. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. So I was praising Jay Hill before on D. One thing I know with him, both when he was at Weber and then BYU, they're a 4-2-5 defense. Is that similar to what Michigan was playing the last couple of years with Morris head coach? I can't say I really paid attention to that.
Well, I think that There are some teams in the Big Ten that 5 defensive backs on the field all the time is not the right answer.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'd see us, more in a 4-3 look. But there are teams where you're definitely going to be. We played a lot of nickel too, so this is not worlds different.
Okay.
I think we've always had 2 defensive tackles.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. And one of those guys is going to be Trey Pierce this year. He's a pretty good player, so he will be a big body to have in there. And then Cameron Brandt on the edge played a lot of ball last year. That was also a position where 2 of the better Utah D linemen, John Henry Daly and Jonah Leah, both follow Whittingham there. So I think that'll be a position group where, even though there might be some new guys, Enow Ita will be a good D tackle as well too. So I feel like that's one of those positions where, and we would say this with all the teams who are in the top dozen most talented teams in the country, you're going to have talent in the trenches. So,
and we've historically been very deep here.
Yes.
And that's been a big part of our success as a team, is that we've been able to rotate real high quality defensive linemen. That's a sign of a really good program, I think. I feel like we're not as deep this year. I mean, I'm really hopeful that we get good things out of John Henry Daly coming back from injury.
Yeah.
I think the first 4, just as good as we've been, but I think as you go deeper, I've got more question marks on the defensive line.
Yeah, and I get it. It's also one of those, if you'd compare to your conference peers, they probably have more depth than most. It just might not be the level you're used to in your, who's your 5th edge guy going to be? Who's your 4th D tackle going to be? So that's, I think it's reasonable to say that, but probably better than, most of the teams you're going to be going up against.
I think that's fair. I think the other name to watch here is 5-star Carter Meadows.
Yep.
He is such a physical freak that he's going to be a part of this rotation on the edge. And, because Brandt is a solid veteran,
yes,
but he's not a game wrecker like Meadows might become.
No, and Meadows, very promising future there. I mean, he should be a top end guy, maybe even, the second half of this season. But I think he'll be a guy we definitely hear a lot about in the future. And then I know one of the other high recruits, Titan Davis at D tackle, I know was a pretty solid 4-star for most of the outlets. So,
and a 4-star who hasn't done much, it's better placed than a lot of our Big Ten brethren are in when that's part of your.
Absolutely. Yeah. Linebackers where you got to replace almost everybody that, played a lot. I guess Troy Bulls played a lot last year, but the top 4 guys at that position are all gone. So
I think losing Cole Sullivan was in some ways is a bigger punch even than Justice Haynes. As good as Justice Haynes is a better player in absolutes, but just in terms of what we had behind him, losing Cole Sullivan to Oklahoma transfer was a big loss.
Was that an NIL move, you think, or was there something else to it?
I feel like, there's something else to it, but I mean, it's, okay. I think generally speaking, the Michigan money can, and we can keep the people we want to keep.
Yeah.
So I think there's something else to it. I don't know what it is, but we're going to miss him.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was a good player. And then in the portal, you guys did bring in 3 pretty notable guys. Isamoa from Michigan State, Max Alford followed Jay Hill from BYU, and then Nathaniel Staling came over from FCS Power, North Dakota State, and is a guy who, from the same town I am, when he was a freshman in high school, coached him. So he was one of the guys that moved up. So he's a Brainerd guy like me. But those 3 all should be additions who are seeing the field in, one form or another. And even though not a transfer, one guy that I'm curious to see how he does this year, Nathaniel Owusu Boateng. He looks like he has the frame to really grow and potentially could be a good player.
I think he starts for us at linebacker.
Okay.
I call him Knob.
I like it. Yep.
NOB.
Yep. And then, I mean, Bowles, I'm just assuming, is going to start. And then, Owusu Boateng. Wouldn't shock me if he's the other guy. Chase Taylor looks like a Big Ten linebacker. Not super tall, but, 240, square body, stout, and is that between the tackles guy that they can just fill and do the job that he has to do.
And when we're playing those Big Ten teams that want to run the ball 2/3 of the time, he'll be on the field as the third linebacker, even if he isn't the second one.
Yes. Well, I think so as well. D-back wise, I feel like that's another one where, you lost some guys, but you also gained some studs. I mean, Chris Bracey from Memphis and Smith Stone from Utah, both really good players in the portal to go along with Jair Hill coming back. And I think Mason Curtis is a pretty good safety too. So I don't think this is a position where you guys will be hurting too much.
I actually think this is a position, it's probably the biggest strength of the whole defense. Is our defensive backfield. And especially if we get our boy Rod Moore all the way back. I mean, it's been so long he's been out that you're kind of like, is he ever coming back?
But the depth chart I'm looking at, was reading off of earlier, it had him as a doubtful. And my thought was, is he still doubtful, or is that just perpetually his whole career? Because it seems like he's always hurt.
Yeah, but when he plays, I mean, he was a key part of that championship defense.
Yes. Yeah.
And a part of when you have experienced, talented, and smart players in the defensive backfield, that allows the defense to just really mess with quarterback's mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's weird to think that, there are still some holdovers left from that team, but there are. So with Moore, when he's healthy, he'll be more of a free safety type guy, right? Not as strong. Yeah. I had thought so, but wasn't positive. Then specialize, they're going to be good. We talked about Marsh before, and he was a pretty good kick returner. I mean, I would assume he'll do that again. And
we picked up a transfer kicker. We've had good luck with our transfer kickers. This time we got a guy from Pitt, hit 20 field goals last year as a freshman, Trey
Butkowski. Yeah, I didn't know that's where he ended up. That's awesome. I'm ashamed I didn't know that. He was a good player. Yes.
So I think, you look at how we use the transfer portal, and we are filling in the right spots.
Yeah. And then I know punter-wise,
Cam Brown comes back at punter.
Okay. Because I know, I think he was at UNLV before. I want to say that. But I think that's where he started. I'm not positive. But that anyway, yeah. So I always ask my guests this question going into this season. What are your expectations? And so, what do you think will the record be? And then give me a ceiling floor record.
I'm like I said, I'm back to 9-3 is my kind of core expectation for this team.
Kind of what I would. Yep, I'm with you there.
I think that everything goes right. They could win 11 games. They could be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I think 7's probably the floor. Like everything goes wrong, people get hurt.
I was even wondering if I would have 8 as the floor, but there would be a doomsday where if Underwood is the guy that gets hurt and you can't figure it out with, the QBs after that. Would Fowler Nicolosi, the old Colorado State guy, is he going to be number 2, or is Tommy Carr, going to be? I don't even know who the second guy would be.
I think it's Fowler Nicolosi. I think that that's his veteran presence is going to allow us to run Underwood more. I think part of why we were so gung shy to run him is we didn't feel good about what we had behind him, and we've bolstered that room. No, the offense won't be the same. You're not going to run the spread to run.
No, No.
With him under center, it'll look more like a Davis Warren style Michigan offense when he comes in.
Yeah. Which, to his credit, Jason Beck has also worked under offenses more conventional like that too, so it wouldn't be a big change for him, I don't think. And he's also a guy who maybe under the radar, A, because he was at a G6 team, and B, because all their games are 10 o'clock at night. He's played a lot of football, though. I mean,
so he's bringing stability to that room and raises the floor.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he's, I think, almost everything you'd want in a portal backup. Like if you're targeting a guy saying you will be the backup, don't think you're going to start. He checks almost all the boxes you'd want in a guy there.
Yeah, I think Carr had a great spring game. You want the freshman to do well. I don't really think he's a threat to be the number 2.
Is he CJ's younger brother? I just assumed he was, but yeah, okay. And I think I agree with you there that 11, the pie in the sky, best case, 11 could happen. Yeah, that the floor, I don't know if I'd say 7 or 8. That's a tough one though. And then rest of the Big Ten, last year we had 3 playoff teams. The year before it was 4. In conceptualizing what the playoffs might look like, what Big Ten teams do you expect would make it back this year? Or go, I should say.
I think it's Oregon's year.
Yeah.
I think this is the year they break out and win the whole thing.
And I feel like I'm high on Dante Moore. Not everybody knows Dante Moore is good, but relative to all the QBs we know are good, I like Dante Moore a lot.
And all the NFL people like Dante Moore too.
They do.
And there's good reasons for that.
Yeah. What do you expect out of that team from down south, the Rivals?
They're
going to be good. They're not going to drop off, but
they're not. There's way too much talent there for them not to be a playoff team. I think it's you talk about the ceiling, the floor. I think in the floor, they're still a playoff team.
They might be. Yeah. I mean, you look at last year, you could argue the floor was losing in the quarterfinals like they did. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to look back and say last year was a resounding success, even though they lost 2 games to the 2 teams that played in the national title game.
No. I think I would Indiana's reloading. People are too dismissive of Indiana.
I think so. Yeah, they certainly, maybe they regress a little. They're not going to fall off the face of the earth, though, by any means. Cignetti's too good for that. And Josh Hoover was a wise portal pickup for them. And I think they know that because you look at right when that season was done, they got him to commit, which tells me they early on identified him as the guy they wanted.
Oh, yeah. He was like one of the very first people in the entire portal to sign anywhere.
Yeah. And entered the portal on a no contact. And within 2 days, he'd signed. Yeah.
So he's, I think Sig knows what he's doing in the portal.
Yeah.
And they're going to be great. I think those 3 teams are the class of the conference. I think, Michigan's in a bucket with USC and some others that have the talent to move up into the playoff conversation, but they need to.
USC's a team I'm pretty high on this year. I think there's a lot of things working in their favor. Maeva's another good QB. That recruiting class was one of the best in the country, if not the best. Now, maybe we shouldn't expect them as true freshmen to do a ton, but I think Lincoln also was feeling some heat of, hey, if we win 8 games but don't make the playoffs, that's not good for him, even though it's a pretty good record. They're going to be feeling it. And
I think they want to be at the top of the sport as they've historically done.
Yeah. They're one of those fan bases, maybe not so dissimilar to you guys in all fairness. They kind of view it as their birthright to be near the top all the time. Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's good to have those expectations. They're also one, though, their schedule's pretty tough. I mean, you got Oregon, Washington, Penn State 3 weeks in a row. Then you have Ohio State, Indiana, though they have the bye in between those two, but they're back-to-back games. And then UCLA the last game of the year, who I think is going to be better. Like it.
I think one of the things UCLA and Michigan have in common is that they're going to get big coaching upgrades this year.
Yes, agree. Another team who they weren't at this level, but because of the coaching, I don't think they fall off a ton, will be Illinois. Bielema will have them being pretty competitive. And of course, that's Iowa every year. They're going to win 8 or 9 games every single year because it's all they do.
Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, like the Big Ten has some good football coaches.
They do.
Bring their people ready to play. And that's part of why I said 7, is that if I say, okay, the season falls apart, you don't beat, Indiana or any of those O schools, you still have to win all the other games. And the Big Ten teams are capable of jumping up and biting us.
They can. I think that's very well said. Yeah, like I was in my recent articles, doing the coach's hot seat. I've talked about those quite a bit. My viewers here will know that. But, I mean, you have so many coaches who have just won a ton of games and are always good. I mean, Sig and Ferentz are – Sig Denny's the safest coach in America. Kirk Ferentz is entering year 28 at Iowa. And another guy who's a good coach and the toughest job to win is David Braun. He's done a good job at Northwestern. I mean,
he has.
Yeah. And then we just talked about Bielema, Fleck, and then Whittingham was in that group. Pat Fitzgerald won a lot of games at Northwestern, and he's back at Michigan State now. So Greg Schiano is, even though we don't hear much about Rutgers, he's entering year 18. Of course, that's over 2 different stints. I think UNLV hadn't went to a bowl game in 24 years, and Barry Odom took them to them in back-to-back years. We knew there would be growing pains at Purdue. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be an overnight success. We'll see what happens there, but it doesn't mean he's a bad coach if things go south. Matt Campbell's won games for a decade at Iowa State. He's now at Penn State. Dan Lanning and Jed Fish both out west winning games. And Lanning is that guy. You said you think this is their year to win it all. I said in my video, talking about the conference with Lanning, they're in that spot now where I think they're sick of being the bridesmaid. Being in the playoffs isn't enough for them. They know that we got to win it this year to truly be one of them. So we'll see. Like, they're one of those teams too, and I'm sure obviously people are out there doing, but for me, they're almost tough to root against. It's like, God, hopefully I hope they get one of these years. I don't know why, but they're just one of those teams. And they're a talented roster too, all over. I mean, they filled in the portal at a lot of spots. They took Minnesota's best player in Parrish. Yeah, they're going to be good. Jed Fish, I mentioned him. He was very good at Arizona, and then they won 9 games last year. We talked about the upgrade Chesney's going to give UCLA. Lincoln Riley, heck of a coach. We haven't talked about Matt Rule in Nebraska yet, and that dude's won games everywhere. Struggled at Nebraska, but so I'll tell you, in the Big Ten, I have for the 5 coaches on the hottest seat: Mike Loxley 1, Luke Fickell 2, Matt Rule 3, Lincoln Riley 4, and then I actually had Ryan Day at 5. Not that his seat is hot per se, but you look at the other coaches, some of them are not hot at all. And the fan base at Ohio State is extremely demanding. Even one slip up, and we'll see what happens. The year they won the title 2 years ago, had they lost the playoff opener to Tennessee, I think he would have gotten fired.
I think if there was a 4-team playoff and they don't make it, he's also fired.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. But so that with those 5, like, who do you think is the hottest seat in the Big Ten? I always ask this question.
Yeah, I think it's Loxley.
That's who I had.
I feel like the first 2 are at a different level.
Yeah.
And then I'd put a pretty big gap because, Rule literally just signed an extension. You got a third?
Did. Yes.
So,
and he also, yeah. So it's funny you say those two, and then there's a big gap. So I'm going to show this visual, but this is the 10 hottest I have for the whole country. Those are the two Big Ten guys I have that made the list. So I had Loxley as the 5th hottest seat in the country, Fickle at 7. So that's where we're at here. Dave Aranda won. The last 2 years, we thought Aranda might get fired, and he clawed enough wins at the end of the season to keep his job. Derek Mason, nothing's going right for him. Del McGee won 1 game last year, and he's won 4 or 5 in 2 years at Georgia State.
I mean, I'm a big college football guy. I don't think I could even told you who the coach was at Georgia State.
Okay, yep. And maybe that speaks to the irrelevance of their program right now. And they were even pretty good with Sean Clark a few years ago, who's now the tight ends coach at the Gamecocks.
They're a fun team to
Sean Elliott
when the new video game comes out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Good color scheme, good stadium, good location.
Yeah. And they were good a couple years ago with Elliott, and then with Darian Granger was the QB for a couple of years. But Mike Norvell at 4. We were talking about their schedule a bit before. Do you think there's a scenario where Norvell keeps his job?
No, I don't. I mean, I actually don't think he makes it through the season.
Okay.
I think that they'll fire him midseason and they'll be looking for something else. I mean, I just don't think they've got the horses there with that schedule to meet their own expectations.
I think that's very true. And that schedule relative to the ACC, it's a bear. They play the conference's toughest teams, and they have Alabama and Florida in non-con games. So I feel like it might have happened last year if that buyout wasn't so big. And yeah, Loxley's my top Big Ten guy at 5. I hate to say the alma mater's on here at 6, but Beamer has to be the toughest, on the hottest seat in the SEC. Yeah, they won 9 games 2 years ago, but then they epically regressed at 4-8 last year, and almost nothing went right. And not only that it didn't go right, but they fired Mike Shula as the O coordinator after not even a year. But nobody liked the hire when they made it. It just seemed like it was doomed to fail from the beginning. He still did it, and it didn't work. Though I do like the Kendall Briles hire for Lenora Sellers because he was really good with KJ Jefferson at Arkansas.
I like it better for his fantasy prospects than his real life prospects.
That I don't hate that. That might be true. Yeah. Then Fickle at 7. Do you think I have him too high on the list, or do you think that's a fair assessment?
I was shocked that he survived this offseason.
Yeah. I couldn't believe
I might have him higher.
I couldn't believe last year they gave him a raise or an extension. Yeah.
So I do, there's some of these things. It's the boosters, it's the AD. There's stuff that's more than just football.
And yeah, for them, they're going through an AD change as well. Belichick at 8 was a tough one. I don't know that he gets fired, air quotes. It might be a hey, it's just not going well, I'm going to retire, guys. But almost nothing went right in year 1 for them, other than the very first offensive drive of the season. That was about it. Went downhill after that.
I feel like I would be buying shares in North Carolina. I think that
okay.
I think they've upgraded at quarterback. I think Billy Edwards, can do things in the ACC. That team was pretty solid on defense, later in the year. That doesn't mean they're going to win 9 games, but I think that it certainly could go south, but I think that we could see something closer to the long-term norm for North Carolina too.
That's fair. Maybe I'm being too harsh on because I do think there is a scenario where they turn it around and that roster is better, but we'll see. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like Shane Beamer. It's like, there's actually good reasons to believe those guys could turn it around and get off this list. But last year was bad enough that they belong on it.
Agreed. That's almost solely why they're on the list. Because right now, as of, where we are today, they would be on the hot seat. And then the last 2 I had rounding up the list, Major Applewhite at South Alabama and they struggled last year. For him, it's more of a career pattern of both at South Alabama and Houston before. He took over good situations. At Houston, he took over for Tom Herman. South Alabama took over from Kane Womack, and they regressed in his time there after he took over. So I don't think that bodes well for his future. And then rounding out the top 10, Jamie Chadwell. How has Liberty been so bad the last 2 years? I mean, we thought 2 years ago, we thought Chadwell would be destined for a P4 job. Now he's at one of the most well-funded G6 teams, and they're having a losing record. Like, what's going on with him there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe one more name for you, Bill O'Brien, Boston College.
Yeah, there were 3 guys that I initially made the list of 13, then I whittled it down. Bill O'Brien at 2-10 last year was one of those guys that just missed. Yeah.
And if I wasn't give you a spicy one for your content, I'd put Dabo on there.
Okay. Do you think
that was such a bad year?
Do you think with Dabo he gets fired or he retires?
Dabo, you win national championships, you shouldn't get fired.
Yeah.
We should just agree to move on at a certain point. And he's a great coach, but last year was real bad.
It was. And I don't think it's going to be bad. Like Vizzini, I don't know that he's the answer at QB, and they didn't address it in the portal at all.
I'd rather have Billy Edwards.
Yeah. That's a take. I like that one. That's a hot take. Yeah, Billy Edwards. But yeah.
So I mean, there's still a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah.
Just like Florida State, they could, the talent returns to its level at a certain point, but I think that maybe that the best days of Clemson are behind them.
I don't know if they'll be as bad as they were recently, but I do think it's true. Like I doubt they win another title again under Dabo. I do think Tom Allen's a pretty good D coordinator. That might help him on D this year. And they were not good on D last year. That's been his MO. His first year has been a lot about getting in the system, and his defenses typically have not done great in year one. Then year 2, they were outstanding. Jim Knowles, same MO, and this will be his first year at Tennessee. And then usually it's year 2 when you get insanely better.
When he brings a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And if he's got the horses for it, there's really not a lot you can do.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he just knows when to overwhelm you and when the numbers are going to be in his favor.
And so, I mean, Michigan had some success against Jim Knowles at Ohio State, but that was, in part because he was so aggressive.
Yes.
We had such, 80-yard plays.
Yeah.
Some of that's luck, it's not all schematic.
And that's one of those, you against a guy that's uber aggressive like that, you take your calculated risks and deep shots. They were lucky enough to hit home runs on a few of them, and that's what happened. So,
and I think we're gonna need Savion to do that for us this year.
Hopefully, I'd love to see it. I'm very excited to see him, as a freshman come in and play. Just looking at the rest of the country, are there any? Well, I'll talk about some team expectations, predictions, and then I think should touch on the Sorsby situation with how topical that is right now. Let's dive into Sorsby a little bit. Is it just a farce that he's potentially going to be eligible after just a 2-game suspension? It's just all over right now. It's all you read about in the college football verse.
Well, I guess, you can get a local judge to do anything, I guess, because it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite soundbites on the SEC, not the media days, but the one that the post-spring ones they did 2 weeks ago. And I love Eli Drinkwitz because he's super cool with leaning into just kind of being dorky and who he is. And they asked him, he had 2 great responses. And one of them was, well, what about, Coach Drink with these court cases and all, what does that do to your guys. Like, well, you just get a local judge to rule in your favor. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened to Sorsby 2 weeks later. And then the other great one that Drink had was, Coach, it looks like we're going to go to a 2014 playoff. You were one of the first people to advocate for that. What do you say? It's like, yeah, I'm just a trendsetter. It's like, yeah, I like it. Yeah,
just keep winning.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not different in kind than Trinidad going back to Ole Miss. I mean, yes, it's gambling and it's like, threatens the integrity of the game, but the concept of like,
yes,
getting an injunction from a local judge.
Yeah. Very fair. Like at what point does the, bias in the legal system end? When does one recuse themselves from a hearing of this nature? Because if there's not a
somebody
conflict,
else who did recuse himself before this guy came in.
Yes, I did see that.
And I saw that if this gets appealed to the like next level court in Amarillo, like that all of the judges in that at that level are from Texas Tech.
What? In West Texas, you're either going there or UTEP. Nobody from Austin or College Station is moving that far west.
It's a different country.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair point. Yeah. And with the Ole Miss one, like with Trinidad, I think they're the only law school in the state. So logic would tell us they're going to be occupying these positions, especially at the higher appellate courts and the ones overseeing the whole state. So, yeah. But
I think Texas Tech is making a mistake. The best day to distance themselves from Sorbes was yesterday. The next best day is today.
Yeah. And we had touched on this off screen a little bit, but if you're Texas Tech now, I don't know that you do distance yourself from him because of how much it might hurt you in the eyes of future recruits and future portal additions. They might look at this and say, well, when he had his back to the wall and the chips were down, they didn't have his back. Why am I going to go there then if they're not going to have my back? It's a realistic thing to think about at this point.
Well, and we have this with NIL disputes, and are you really going to sue the kid, right? Yeah. And enforce your contract?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a complex, a lot of things you have to think about in this new world of college football, but DraftKings McGee shouldn't be your quarterback.
Probably not, no. And on one of our brother shows, Biscuits and SEC, I'll talk with Boss Man about that. Like, looking at the bettings, like, did you see the different things he was betting on?
What a degenerate.
Turkish handball, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Okay, I'm guilty. I've done that.
Okay. He was at a Reds game, pre-pitch betting balls and strikes. Like, when you're going every pitch, that's next level.
Well, I think legitimately that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you're betting balls and strikes, anybody watching the program, if you're betting balls and strikes, you should get help.
Yes. Yeah. You can watch me later tonight on Locked On Vandy, brought to you by FanDuel too, by the way. No.
Sorry, I should have said FanDuel.
No, it's okay. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. The interesting thing will be, like, does it cause Texas Tech to be the pariah that some people are saying? Like, some of these schools saying they're not going to schedule Texas Tech. Do we hold them to that? Is that really going to happen? Like, I don't know.
I think that, I mean, it's kind of a Pete Rose thing. I think that for a lot of people, this is just a bridge too far. And this is the one time where people are going to stand up and do something different. I
think for the non-con teams, it's reasonable to do that. I don't know if the other Big 12 teams have any, leg to stand on with that. Like, are you going to go to the conference commissioner and say, we're not going to play this team? Because you're going to pay them millions of dollars if you're not going to play them. How is that punishing them if you're just going to give them a payout to then play other teams?
Well, so just, get a gang together and gang up on one member of your conference. Tony Petitti's done it before.
Yes, he has done that. Is a great comparison. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. It's a good one, though. Okay, we'll move on from source, but everybody's talking about that. But college football nationwide going into this season, if you were picking a team right now, would you pick Oregon to win the national title? You did say that.
I did say that. I'll stick with Oregon.
Okay. I like it. I haven't thought much about national title-wise who I would pick, but they would certainly be up there. It's tough to argue because they're going to be good at about every position. So I don't hate it. Yeah. And then which team who has, out of the teams we expect to be decent/good, who do you think is a flop like last year's Gamecocks were, unfortunately?
It might be the LSU Tigers.
Lane has not been great in year one. We've had this talk on our group SEC After Dark a few times. Yeah.
I mean, there's very high expectations.
Yeah.
You got to play.
The Tennessee Vols might be the team I'm lower on Tennessee this year than a lot of people are.
Well, I think the question with Tennessee is what are you going to get out of quarterback? I assume they're going to go with the freshman kid or something to try and
it probably will
maximize
will be Faison Brandon. Yes.
Yeah. So if Faison Brandon is, has the goods, then maybe. But I mean, I feel like they're more like a fringe top 25 team than a top 10 team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I tried to go hot take and give you a top 10 team.
Okay. No, I'm glad you did.
Maybe they're a fringe top 10 team. I don't know where they're at exactly, but
yeah, they'd be in that realm though. Yeah, I don't think that's tough to say.
Because they're going to play Ole Miss, Clemson, and Texas A&M before September's out.
Yeah.
And so if LSU is not ready to go day one, they could have one of those big fall off seasons.
I think that's absolutely one team I might say who I don't know that this will happen, but for top 10 teams, there is a scenario where Miami regresses a lot. Now, like you had said before, they're still going to have enough to get through that conference and probably make the playoffs. But relative to the other teams competing for a title, they lost a lot on defense, and we'll see how they can replace that. So they might be and then my answer, I did give my answer earlier for this when it was UCLA, but what team that everybody's sleeping on do you think could be pretty good this year?
Everybody's sleeping on me. Take a look here at the answer is I just take a random dart at the Big 12.
Yes, that's fair. They all could be. Yeah.
Well, I think that whether it's Arizona State or it's I feel like somebody that we're not talking about at all is going to go win 10 games in that league.
A team, I don't know if they'll win 10. Oklahoma State's going to be relevant again, though, after multiple years of being god-awful. Eric Morris is a good coach. Might take more than a year, but they're at least going to be way better than they were last year.
So I think in general, if you're looking to – because all those teams, it's fun watching because they're all about the same, but the oblong balls make weird bounces, and somebody like that Kansas State, somebody is going to oh my God, they won 10 games again. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, with Klein and Avery Johnson, they'll be a fun one to watch. That's a good call. Yeah.
Got a lot of heritage Avery Johnson shares in my dynasty leagues.
I like it. I'm also another fantasy one in that conference specifically I'm curious to watch is West Virginia, because Michael Hawkins is a great Rich Rod fit, and Cook is a stud running back that they got in the portal from Jacksonville State. So they could be fun this year.
I think they'll be fun, but I mean, I remember, when Rich Rod was our coach, and we won a game 65-63 against Illinois.
Oh God, yeah.
Is the defense going to be there?
And I don't know that it will be. Yeah,
it's fun to watch. Yes.
Yeah.
And Cook is a consensus, I think, first round pick in fantasy right now.
Well, the bell cow in that offense is a touch monster, so you're going to get the ball all the time. Yeah. What was it you called Antoine Raymond a volume turtle? Was that your quote?
Yes, he's a volume turtle. So I've got a little beef going with our friends at Volume Pigs.
Okay.
Because they were talking about, they said he was the RB1 in the whole country.
Ooh, I like him. I don't agree with that.
So this is like day 3 of me having a blog.
Yeah.
And I put a midnight screed together. It was like, no, we can't let this stand.
Yeah.
He is not the RB1. And I called him a volume turtle because he does have volume.
He does.
but he has no big play capability.
Okay.
That Rutgers offense still has to play in the Big Ten. It just doesn't make sense. The upside of him being an RB1, I just don't see it at all.
Okay. And and I remember where I brought him up, I was saying there's a chance he's the RB1 in the Big Ten, because is Bo Jackson the RB1 in the Big Ten? And my comment was Raymond might be one in the Big Ten, but yeah, one in the nation. Boo, that's even way above my head there. Yeah. And who's Rutgers is Suris or Dylan Lonergan going to be there? Do we know who that QB is going to be yet?
I'm not sure. I think Lonergan.
Okay.
But that doesn't
former
exactly
Alabama and former Alabama, former Boston College QB who never really held on to the job at either place. Well, so,
but Rutgers did okay with the Greek Freak transfer last year. So I mean, better than I would have expected.
Greg Schiano was a good coach for his record. If you just look at the numbers, it's mediocre. That's a really tough place to win. And Greg Schiano was so good at Rutgers last time that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hired him as head coach. The NFL doesn't just do that. Like, the guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And so that's the reason not to just sell Rutgers, is that their coach is too good to just assume they're going to fall apart. They're going to be ready to play every week.
They will. Yeah. I'm going to actually look at their schedule right now just to see what I think it's
easier this year for them.
Ooh, it is. UMass. Oh, so I had UMass on my episode last week for this guys that do a UMass podcast. You can't imagine the degeneracy it takes to do a UMass podcast, but you and I can understand that.
Yeah. I mean, UMass, it's kind of like all my knowledge is built around the college fantasy game, and they're not an eligible team. So I have nothing. Yeah, that's fair. But UMass then at Boston College week 2, we talked about their struggles last year, but then it gets a little tougher. You have USC, then an FCS game, then Indiana. So probably best case scenario, you're 3-2 there. But then you got Maryland and Northwestern, but they're both on the road. So their schedule. But, that's, Michigan State, Nebraska. You're hitting all of the bottom feeders in the Big Ten.
You don't play Ohio State. You don't play Oregon. Yeah. You don't play Illinois, who's going to be better than you anyway. You don't play Iowa, Iowa's a terrible matchup for Rutgers.
Well, and if you looked at the stats for Randall in those games against those kind of teams, he had like 20 yards against Illinois.
Yes.
And then he carried the ball like 44 times for like 400 yards against Maryland or something.
Yeah.
So it's the good news is when to start him.
That's fair. Yeah. But he's also, because of the volume, you might have to start him every week. He's a tough guy not to start it, especially where you're going to be drafting him. Are you reasonably going to have another startable guy? It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because he's going.
Is he going round 1?
Yeah, he's consensus round 1, like 6, 7. Like I have zero shares. I have zero shares of.
Okay.
Because I just don't think that offense is going to do enough for him to justify that.
I think that's fair. Yeah. But we've reached our hour mark, Steve, but I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And the people, they're seeing you're at CFF_Jacko as your Twitter/X handle. Is that also the handle for your Substack?
Yes.
Perfect. So, and also, if you go to his X profile, you can click on the Substack right there, I believe, and follow it. So you guys should do that. Very good info. And thanks for watching, everybody. Glad you could be here. And again, Steve, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.